if you allow young lawyers to go out and source and advertise for clients, you are also giving them opportunity to learn. Now, you can always say, just like they say in the US, if you have a case that you are not familiar with, then liaise with somebody who is familiar with it so that you make sure you are doing the right thing. They can always have that law. But in Nigeria, it's a no-no. You cannot advertise. It's very, I don't even know that I've come across any Nigerian lawyer who got out of law school like this year and went on to establish their own law practice like the same year. So far I haven't seen. So I think that I think it's a disservice to the society because those young lawyers can as well represent a lot of people. And usually, really, to be honest with you, I think that sometimes those young lawyers are more daredevil than the older ones because the older ones are more careful, they are more particular about the cases they take, and they are more particular about the arguments they make. But the younger ones, they're pretty much, they see a bright light in every case and they'll pretty much just make arguments that will test the law. And, hey, let's see. I mean, the fact that the law has always been this for 50 years does not mean that it has to stay. The society is changing. Let's make a different argument and see whether it will work. Anyway, that's it.
Mm-hmm. And since we are talking of that, I will have one or two things to really ask in terms of this law, because since in Nigeria, just like in many other African countries, a law is not something that is very simple even for us to understand. We don't understand it very well how it functions. So I might therefore be tempted to ask, maybe I'm going to ask the question again in another form.
Mm-hmm.
What is even the basis of our law, the law that we are using? What is it based on? Because, for example, you were making mention of the United States just now, where even the way the lawyers dress is different from the way the lawyers dress in the United Kingdom. But it doesn't mean that they are not working because you dress differently, no?
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, for example, got independence from Britain in 1916.
Mm-hmm.
But up until date, Nigerian lawyers are still dressing as if maybe they are colony of the British. No, the question is, are we afraid to detach ourselves from the remnants of the British system, or do we even have our own legal system, or we are basically replicating the system that they have left behind? Is my curiosity.
That's a very good question, and to be, personally, I honestly do not think that that the situation is that we are afraid to detach ourselves from the British system. And the reason I say I do not think that is I don't see the basis. Of course, as the former colonizer, Britain, just like France does to their own people, tries to exert certain influences over us. But it's left for us to say, yeah, we'll allow you to do this or we'll agree to do this because we are fully independent. And if we say we want to go our own way, I don't think that Britain can make us stop. So that's number one. Number two, I think that the real reason is you got to understand, look, if I grow up seeing that it's okay to do certain things, and I see that doing it that way benefits me personally, it's going to be difficult for me to now want to change it for my younger brothers or sisters. So, assuming that I'm a lawyer in Nigeria now, and I have spent 15 years waiting to become a senior lawyer. And then I become a senior lawyer, and I'm able to sit in a certain place in court, have my cases called first, have certain things done to me, have certain, junior people carry my bag. Human beings being what we are, I think it's difficult for me to say, hey, no matter how good I think or how kind I think I am, I'll be like, why are you changing it on my own watch? That's just human. That's just human. Human beings by virtue somehow tend to look after themselves first before everybody else. But that leads into something else. That really shows or leads us to why or where the Americans come to be the best in the world. Because for some reason, the Americans have come to embrace change as maybe nothing is bigger than change as far as they are concerned. That's my view. You look at so many things in this country that has changed. I remember when I came, so many things that I never thought. Okay, let's take the field of law now. Now Roe v. Wade, which is the abortion law, that for many years, there have been certain things said about that. This is the way it is for many years. But now, people are thinking of changing it. You see what I'm saying? Look at laws about marriage. For many years, when I came to this country, if anybody told me that as of today, that man would be able to marry man, woman would be able to marry woman, I would never agree that it will happen. But it happened. You see, good or bad, like it or not, the important thing is that the people felt like this is the direction that we need to go, and they are not afraid to do that. And yeah, of course, there are people amongst them who, in their own self-interest, would have liked to keep it the way they are. But ultimately, the majority won out. That's what's not happening in our system. I think that most times, those people who are benefiting from certain laws that are, in my view, are not necessarily wonderful laws, I think those people somehow, they win out. They beat out the other ones who are saying, hey, let's change this. But I think really it's time for Nigeria to look at the way things are and figure out, look, is this really working? Or must we continue doing these things? We need to start to demystify the law. The law is simply a profession. It's not different from the guy that works in the factory. Everybody is contributing to the society. First of all, we need to start rewriting laws so that we remove those big words, those legalese, write laws that people can understand, that my child can pick up and read and say, this is what the law says. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to say that ignorance of the law is no excuse. But then you go and write the law in such big words that the ordinary guy in the street will not understand. To me, it just doesn't make sense. If you say ignorance of the law is no excuse, then put the law to where everybody will understand.
Thank you very much for that. In fact, I think our audience, the Nigerian people, are going to appreciate that, because if you are making law for the people, you must speak in their level, in the way that they can understand. I know that we need the lawyer to go a little bit more in detail to understand this thing, because they have studied it. But if the law is for the people, because if the law is only for the lawyer, then you can write it only for the lawyers to understand.
Exactly. But the law is for the people. It's for the people that you expect to obey the law, not the lawyers. It's the people. So, unless you are trying to set a trap for people, then you can go and say it in big language and stuff, because you don't want them to understand it, and you want to say, aha, you've broken the law. And when they come back and say, well, I didn't really understand it, then you tell them ignorance of the law is no excuse.